Good morning, everybody. I'm here with the amazing psychic Liz Cross. How are you doing today?
And I'm with the amazing Mr. Photon. I am well, thank you.
Okay. So today we will be doing a probe for our Aussie friends down under. We have a listener request probe to ask about the coming digital ID and possible internet restrictions tied into that, supposedly coming to Australia and perhaps to the rest of the world to some degree as well. So we are in the information age. And if you want to control the flow of information, if you're a government or institution or whatever, really the choke point is your internet service provider. So if you need to provide your identification in order to, use the internet, that, you can argue that that's a big infringement on your freedom of speech or you're just your rights to be able to communicate and also to be able to view information freely in this age. So there's been some news about that being proposed in various places in the world, but specifically Australia. So if we can pull in, who are we going to pull in to help us probe here? Um, Normally in these kind of situations, we pull in the founding fathers because they seem to be, but we're talking about Australia now. So,
Let's bring in Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II. We
yeah,
can channel her.
she is passed on, so that's probably a good idea. Now she's obviously on in the spirit world, and a lot of people would say, well, maybe we shouldn't probe the royalty that is kind of or was controlling everything at the time. But if we can confirm, she doesn't have the same views that she did have when she was on the Earth plane, correct? She's coming from a more unbiased viewpoint, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. And actually she just threw the word in humanitarian. Australia is part of the Commonwealth and the royal family, they have always loved Australia, even
Mhm.
though the Australians haven't always loved them,
Right.
but they do love Australia. So
Right.
yes, I think that will be very fitting. And then we can also probe the Australian government as a consciousness
Mhm.
and the Australian people.
Absolutely. Okay. So the first question that we have from our listener is they're asking what percentage of the Australian population currently are in favor of these new internet laws that are going to come into effect in December 2025, that you need to prove your age above 16 years of age or older. So what percentage of the population is in favor?
Of the population is in favor of these laws coming in. It's low, it's like 20%.
Interesting. Okay. Um, and in respect to that question, could we fast forward 12 months into 2020, so into 2026?
Okay. I can
And
tell you right now, it feels like they've already started some implementation. So let's go out a year. Let's go September 23rd, September 23rd, 2026, 2026, 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. What would you like to know?
so what do the Australian people now think of these internet restrictions that went into effect in December 2025?
What do you think about these internet restrictions? Oh, they feel like their personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions, it's stifling. Now, the government has all information. They know exactly what you're looking at, exactly what you're buying, what you're selling, what you're doing with your money. And I am also getting from the government, like, that's what the force is, the driving force behind this is to really know who people are using the internet and to see how they are spending their money. How are they getting their money? What are they spending their money on? To
Right.
take data that how many people are buying alcohol, how many people are engaging in watching pornography, how many people are gambling, what are they doing, who's going to visit relatives. Where are they going? This is being used, I'm getting very strongly, as a tracking and tracing sort of thing. Now, I also feel it's going to be made law. So what is coming through is you can't really escape this.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be very hard to escape that. And this is kind of the same end goal of like a central bank digital currency, which we've talked about many times, but this is a soft way to implement it, right? There may be a lot more pushback on a digital currency, but you can achieve sort of the same thing in a way with this because, as you said, you're identifying everybody that uses the internet. And once you've identified them, now you can track everything that they do, right?
Mhm.
Because unless you're paying with cash everywhere, right, which I think is kind of harder to do for other reasons in Australia, I'm told. All your digital payments are going to be coming through your internet service provider to some degree, or your phone, right, which will be identified to your name all the way through. So this is another way to attain that goal without having a digital currency right away.
So
Uh,
are they going to link the phone, the ID, the passport, the banking, and banking cards, whatever, to this verification, this digital ID to use the internet? I'm
so
getting a yes.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure what the state of things are, but I would think that they're moving towards a digital ID system. At least that's what everybody's afraid of in a lot of different places. And if they implement this first, which sounds like they're going to have, right? They're going to have your ID will eventually be tied into the digital ID.
Hmm.
Right. So if they already have your internet tied into it, then it just gets swallowed up by the coming digital ID that encompasses everything, encompasses your internet access, your passport, your health records, your banking. What else? Right. Those are the main things I would say. Voting.
Okay,
You know,
let me give this to you.
I,
Sorry.
yeah. Go ahead.
What I am getting is also going out into the future. The cars have these like computers and all that stuff in them.
Hmm.
Eventually, to make sure you have paid road tax,
Hmm.
what I am getting is that will also be linked. So now they're going to know where you're driving to.
Right. Okay. I just forgot where we were there for a second, but yeah.
That's
So this,
okay. It was about linking, sorry, we had a tech difficulty there. It was about linking also in the future the car you drive,
yes.
because you'll have to make sure that your car is registered on this computer and that you've paid the road tax, and that you are, you know, insured, and all this stuff will go through the computer. Now, this is way out in the future. But now they're going to know everything about you. They're going to know where you're driving, what you're spending.
And they can shut your car off, I'm sure.
Oh, well, they have the ability to shut the car. Yeah, for non-payment.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So they can impound you in your own garage or parking lot.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, it's pretty dystopian for sure. Um, okay, so the next question is, did the Australian government introduce new restrictions on internet access, but also free speech laws like we've now seen in the UK, with social media? Right. So if for those of you that don't know, if you tweet out the wrong thing or your vocal cords, as I've hilariously heard it say, you have a vocal cord violation on the internet, you can have, the police at your door and you can be charged for what you put on social media. So is that also coming to Australia tied into this?
Is that also coming? Not for a long while yet. They still will enjoy some freedom of speech,
Okay.
but of course, they will know everything that you're saying.
Right.
right? So if you're posting on Twitter, if you're posting on Facebook or wherever,
Or
they know,
anonymous, right?
yeah,
Right.
yeah. They'll know what you're watching on YouTube.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. Okay. So the next question is, have people found ways to avoid the internet restrictions imposed in Australia in December 2025?
Have people found a way to avoid the imposition of these internet? Yeah, I mean, yeah, they have.
Yeah,
They're
I think
connecting to something offshore.
yeah. There would be ways around it. The question is it legal to do that in Australia?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So you're taking a risk when you do that, but there are ways. I definitely would have ways to get around it. Just like in China, right? They have a huge firewall in China, but you can still get around it. Now it's illegal to do that, but you technically still can if you know what you're doing. Okay. So what's the next question is what's the percentage of people that have avoided the restrictions in 2026?
What is the percentage of people that have avoided the restrictions in 20, like 85%?
Oh my God. Well, good on you. No, I'm not, promoting you break the law, but
That's so
there you go.
funny. That's why I was giggling. I was like, oh God, I can feel this is a big number.
Yeah.
Um, but they still have all your data.
Yes, it's just you're basically putting up a wall where they can't see what you're doing. It's like, clicking on the private history viewing on your browser for a few minutes while you go and do your business. But they're still getting data going in and to get data going out. They just may not be able to see everything that you're doing.
Mhm.
Um, but there's limits to that, right? Because if they're watching all the things that you're spending on, right, there's going to be records tied into like, records that are secondary to your internet browsing that they'd be able to track probably. Um, okay. So next question is immigration in Australia is extremely high. Does the percentage of the population opposing the higher immigration start to decrease in 2026?
So, so basically those that are opposing immigration, does it start to become like a larger percentage of the population in 2026? That's a no.
Okay. Um,
That's not until the 2030s.
okay, and that's their next question. If there will be a large, backlash sometime between, 2026 and 2020 and 2030.
Yes, but again, too little, too late,
Right.
is what I'm getting. Like it's too, it's too late. You
You
can
can't put the genie
protest
back in the
and
bottle. Yeah, if they're, it's a hard thing to solve once, they have the people in the country. It's a sticky situation, right?
mm-hmm.
As we're seeing around the world, right? What do it's really hard to undo that. Even if there are, problems, like there may be more crime from some people that have immigrated, it's hard to, how do you how do you rectify that? It's hard to undo those sort of things once you kind of let that happen. So, um, okay. No, the next question is Australian housing is expensive right now. Will the majority of people in Australia ever wake up to the fact that the high prices is being deliberately kept high? And let's ask if that's true. Probably we should ask first.
Oh, okay. That's a
So
good question. Are
is
the
the Australian
mhm,
housing market being deliberately artificially kept high, I guess you would say.
being artificially kept on? No, no, it's not. Um,
Is it just the normal inflation? Not that it's normal, but is it just inflation in the housing market?
it's a lot of things. It's inflation, it's the rich poor divide.
Mhm.
You still don't have a slowdown, a significant slowdown of developers or landlords that are snapping up property and
Mhm.
renting them out.
Mhm.
Will the housing costs ever go down? No. the housing costs are never going to reduce significantly. There will be government buy schemes.
Hmm.
I feel that is coming out, but let me tell you, they already did that in the UK, right? So they called it like a key worker scheme at first, and that was happening in London. I know because I experienced it, where police officers, ambulance drivers, nurses, teachers, your essential key workers, they were leaving London because it was too expensive. They couldn't afford to stay. And you need these people in the area. You have to have teachers, you have to have ambulance drivers. So they started with this key worker scheme, which is where you buy. So the government owns 50% of the property, and you can buy 50%, or even as low as like 30%. But the problem is, you have to pay rent to the government. So, say you get a 40 or 50% mortgage on the property, you have to pay maybe another 200 or 300 pounds a month to the government to cover their costs of their 50%. And then the other problem you have is that if you're buying a flat or you're paying, property taxes and things like that, you have to pay management fees. Management fees are very, very expensive. And the government doesn't pay their half of the management fees. So you have to pay all of it. So your management fees can be 300, 400 pounds a month in London. So you're paying 50% mortgage plus rent to the government, plus you're responsible for all 100% of the management fees, plus you're paying council tax. So yes, it's a last resort, but are they going to bring this key worker? Yeah, this is exactly what they're going to do in Australia. And then the problem is you can finish your mortgage, but you still only ever own 50%. So now you have to buy the government out of the other 50%. Well, guess what? Maybe it's a lot more expensive than what it was when you bought it.
Yeah.
So you still have to buy them out. So then that's another what, 30-year mortgage, just buying them out, unless you have the cash.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
a really hard scheme.
Yeah.
And yes, it puts people on the property ladder, but then once people are on the property ladder, it becomes like a noose around your neck. And
Yes.
it's like, is it even worth it staying in that area just to be paying rent to the government? It's a really difficult scheme.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. You're paying rent to the government now, basically, is what it is. So,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
very profitable for them.
Yes. Um, okay. I'm guessing this is not gonna I mean, when does this may already be the case. When does the cost of housing become unaffordable for the majority of Australia? Will this occur between now and 2030?
When does the cost of housing become unaffordable for I feel it's now.
Yeah.
I feel it's now. You go and speak to young people between the ages of like 20 and 35 and ask them realistically, are they able to buy a property? The
Mm.
answer is no.
Mm.
Um, of
Yeah.
course, there will be some that can buy property, but the majority, that's a no.
Yeah.
And that's exactly where everywhere is headed. The
Yes.
USA is headed in the same direction.
Yep. That's everywhere in the West. Okay. Will the large number of immigrants entering Australia, will they ever have the realization that, the cost of living and housing prices in Australia are just, against that, just as much as everyone else? Will they have buyer's remorse? And will they
Well,
will they go back to their country because it's too expensive, I guess is the question.
they could to their country because it's too expensive. I mean, what they're going to do is they're going to work until they retire and save money and then go back to their countries.
Mm.
Some of them, a
Mm.
majority of them will not. And will they ever see? No, because they see Australia as a gold mine. I mean, they're coming from places where you can't even get a job.
Right.
So a job is better than no job.
Correct. And also, I mean, I'm not aware of the government incentives, but I'm sure there's incentives for them to come over, you know.
Are there, and let's ask, are there incentives for them to come over? I mean, there are, I mean, but they're looking at incentives as in education, healthcare.
Correct.
Aussie government is like a national health system.
Right. They're
So
subsidizing all of those things for people coming over.
that's what's attractive
Right.
to people coming out. Yeah, they get those things.
Hmm. So, I mean,
So
it's
where
a
they're coming from, sorry.
net
So
gain for
like
me.
if they're coming from places like Indonesia, they get a lot of Asian immigrants, which, if there's work available, we can see that, right? So yeah, they're coming from like Indonesia, Vietnam, China, Asia. Is it better than what you came from? I mean, for the most part, a majority of those populations are saying, yeah, it's a lot better than where we came from. We love Australia.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Okay, taxes in Australia. At the federal and state level, do they become crazy like the UK? If so, when will this happen?
Oh, taxes. Will they become crazy like the UK? Not as bad, but I feel that they are quite high.
Yeah.
Will you ever get up to like a 30 to 40 to 50% tax rate? I mean, some people will if they earn enough, but for the most part, what I am getting, and I'm sure all of you Aussies out there will say, Liz, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. But what I'm getting for the most part, you don't have a lot of government wastage like you
Mm.
do in other countries. It seems to be managed better. Taxes are managed better, is what I'm getting, than other countries that really just squander the tax money. So, no, I'm not getting it will be at UK levels.
Okay. What type of restrictions in freedom of speech could be coming to Australia in the next 10 years?
What types of restrictions of freedom of speech will be coming to Australia in the next 10 years? They're going to clamp down on the social media.
Mm.
That's where so it's, that's following suit, isn't it? Really? They are going to clamp down on social media. Will they arrest? Yeah, they will arrest people for
Wow.
that. Now, there will be a lot of people that sign up for this internet thing. They have to by law that use the internet for nefarious means, meaning that they're watching things that they shouldn't be watching involving children. Those people will be arrested, thank
Hmm.
God.
Yeah.
Um, and also labeled as sex offenders. So
Hmm.
that will be a good thing, but the majority of people that engage in, that type of activity online will know how to go around it through a VPN.
Right. Yeah, they'll have the biggest incentive to get around, everything. Like you said, 85% of people in total are going to try and curb the restrictions. So I'm sure they will also. Um,
Oh, can I ask a question? Okay. In the UK, we've recently discovered that the government is using AI to monitor people's social media accounts in order to see if they're spending more money, are they going on more holidays, are they buying new cars? And then they're comparing that with their current income that is being reported to His Majesty's HMRC, His Majesty's tax office. Is Australia, they're already doing it. There you go. Bang. Australia is already doing it. Do we do that here in the USA? No, not yet. But Australia is already doing that.
Mm, yeah. It's scary stuff. Yeah, they may already be doing it. They may not be enforcing things yet, but if they're already doing it, they're just waiting until they can openly, say they're doing it. Have everything set up already. Um, okay. Is there an exodus of people leaving Australia in large numbers over the next 10 years?
Is there an exodus of people leaving Australia in large numbers? Um, is it an exodus? Not really a mass exodus, no, because it's like, where are they going to go?
Mm,
I mean, they could go to cheaper places. I'm getting again that migration to the Asian countries, which we're seeing the UK do as well,
yeah.
um, and Western Europe.
Hmm. Yeah.
Also Canadians. I'm getting Canadians. So are we gonna, but I don't see it to be on a mass scale. I mean, it's almost like, well, this is the way it is. We just live with it.
Right. Yeah, not everybody feels like they can just pick up and go. They have all kinds of commitments within the country, right? So, but those that can, will there be an increase overall?
Those that can, will there be an increase? Not really.
Okay.
Not really for Australia. I'm getting
All right.
that.
Will people in Australia and the younger people between 20 and 40 come up with any ideas to really combat the cost of living?
Mm. Well, the younger people in Australia really come up with any ideas to combat the cost of living? No, not really. No.
Okay.
Um, Apart from creating startups and moving to Asia,
Mm,
no.
yeah. Okay. Will the Australian dollar face a day of reckoning? Will it, be quote unquote worthless over the next 5 to 10 years?
The Australian dollar face a day of, it's facing a day of reckoning now is what I'm getting from my late queen. So Australia it's already being
Devalued.
demolished. Yeah, devalued. It's already starting.
Yeah,
They're gonna crush it.
I saw a tweet yesterday, and I'm pretty sure it's true. It sounds right. It sounds about right, but I haven't confirmed it. That the in, what was it, 2000 and I think if it was 2009, 2013, if you had a dollar from, US dollar from 2009 or 2013 or something like that, it's now worth 39 cents purchasing power, right? So that's like a pick, that's like a way to like kind of imagine it, how inflation has really kicked up. And it's not just the United States dollar, all the other currencies are getting hit way worse, in terms of some of their inflation or purchasing power, I should say, in their respective countries. So,
Wow. And don't forget, I mean, for those of you that are new, I know there a lot of you have been following me for a long time, and we appreciate that so much. But for those of you that are new, we've always gotten from now until 2040, whatever you're paying for whatever it is, housing or rent or
food.
cars or whatever, it will double by 2040.
Yeah, inflation is not going anywhere.
Mm-mm. But up. That's the only place it's going is
Yeah.
up.
Right. Okay. When or does UBI ever get introduced in Australia?
Mm. When does UBI? It's coming next year. It's
Okay.
starting next year.
Okay. What do people think of it when it's implemented? Is there a regret down the track?
Well, at the beginning of the implementation, everybody loves it, right? Because the first ones to go on UBI are ones that can no longer work ever again. And it's actually an increase in their benefits, is what I'm getting.
Right.
But
Yeah. it's
Is it
the
going to be, sorry, let me ask this question. Is it going to be means tested? Yes. So they're going to try to have like a certain basic level of income.
mm,
This is what I'm getting for Australia. So say you need, hypothetically, let's just guess, pull a number out of the hat, $5,000 a month to live. Now I know you need a lot more than that, but 5,000 Australian dollars a month to live. But you're working and you're only earning $3,000 to live. That's all you're getting paid. The government will then make up for that shortfall and giving you $2,000 is
mm,
what I'm getting. So it's going to increase the minimum standard of living by using UBI.
mhm, right.
But what does that do overall? Well, if you're not a motivated person, there's nothing there to incentivize you. Right? And we keep getting that across the board that that's what UBI will eventually do is it will squander creativity. Some people may look at it as, oh, well, now I have more time to be creative. Well, yes, that is true if you want to use your time wisely. But a lot of people will not use their time wisely. It's just going to be, what do I do with my life? There will be a lot of people walking around not feeling any sense of fulfillment, no sense of purpose. What's the point in going to school? Who
Right.
needs to learn? Who cares? Is what I'm getting. Why work on being a better version of yourself? You're going nowhere anyway. And even if you are, you're never going to be able to buy a property. That's what the younger generations are up against, by the way.
Yeah.
And they're coming out of high school here in the US and they're eager and they're keen and they want, this is their chance. But once they get those knockbacks, so many knockbacks, which by the way, you can't afford to buy a car. You'll never be able to afford to buy a house. You can't afford to buy groceries. You can't afford to rent an apartment or live on your own. You can't afford to pay your student loans back. Getting repeated hits like that, it really it sends the soul into this downward spiral.
Yeah.
It's almost saying what I'm getting to the individual, you know, let the government handle it, especially in Australia. Like, let us deal with it. It's almost it's going to become the nanny state. Now, the UK has already dubbed the nanny state. Why? Because the UK gives, is nannying you from cradle to grave. That's what UBI will do to other countries.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just not a lot of incentive, especially if it's you have to work so much, so much, so much harder to attain all of those things, or you could just sit here and just collect, the basic, which is, going to take care of everything for you. There's the divide is if it's too strong, the new generations coming up just will just be like, why? What's the point? You know what I mean? So I can
Yeah.
totally see it happening. Right now, it may help some people in the moment that are struggling, but once the next generations come up and it's normal, that's the problem.
Mhm.
That's the big problem for sure.
I
Um,
think the saving grace in Australia, correct me if I'm wrong, Aussies, is at least in our group, is that they can buy these high income yields, right?
mhm.
I'm getting that. You're gonna have to, because universal basic income is what it, does what it says on the tin can. Basic income.
Yeah.
It's you're allowed to buy a certain amount of food. You know what I mean? You're allowed to
And
use a certain amount of electricity.
right. And if
Uh,
inflation is going up at the same time, is it going to be able to compete with that, or is there going to be lag time? You know what I'm saying?
oh, that's a good question. No, it will be lagging. It will be when people are that was a great question. It will be when people are absolutely desperate and they're protesting and again, when votes count, that they decide to give an increase, but it'll be a minimum increase. Now, the question is, how are these governments going to get the money to fund the universal basic income?
Mhm.
So for Australia, they're going to increase business taxes, is what I'm getting. So, yeah, that I'm getting, they're going to tax more corporations, more businesses. Well, what does that do? Let's
Incentive
ask
the
this
businesses to
question.
leave.
Right.
Nice.
What is that? Let's ask. So are we going to see businesses leaving? Yes, you will. You will start to see businesses that can leave, they will leave, and they will also, in order to combat the increased taxes, they will decrease the amount of employees that they have.
Mm. Right? And then more people go on universal basic income. It's a vicious
Right.
cycle. Oh man. All right. Okay, if you round up some 20 to 40-year-olds now and project forward 10 years from now, what's the best advice to give themselves in 2025 to prepare for this future and in terms of work, housing, taxes, cost of living, all that stuff, crypto, freedom of speech, all that stuff. What can they do now if they're aware of what's coming?
What can they do now? Let's move them out 10 years. A lot of them, what I am getting, I'm saying, what are you guys doing now? And what I am getting is a lot of them are like, yeah, whatever. They've just accepted it. They're
Mm,
not trying to combat the system. They really aren't. I'm not getting that. See that fighting spirit. You know
mm,
what I mean? That has also now been lost, and squandered. It's the government's too powerful. They know everything about you, is what I'm getting. And you they just, why bother?
yeah.
Why bother? My health is taken care of, but it's not good for the soul. So let's ask this question. Overall, what percentage of the population will end up being depressed because of this type of life? So depression is going to increase by how much percentage? By about 40 to 50%. Now, those that have children and they want to stay home with their children, there will be that opportunity to do so with the universal basic income. That's a benefit. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm trying to put some positives on. A lot of
Pretty.
times we'd all love to stay home with our children, but society and the economy does not dictate that. We are not allowed to stay home with our children. Now we're working double time. We're going to work full time. And then when we come home, we're working full time until we collapse into bed, right? Most of us, not all of us, but most of us. And it will allow for more stay-at-home parents. Um, but again, it's very basic. You're not going to live the high life on this kind of money. You're going to live very basically.
So specifically what they were asking is what can those, younger people now do to offset? So they don't want to, if their objective is not to end up on universal basic income, what can they do now to prepare for that, to avoid that outcome? So, whether that's work or crypto or, protesting or whatever it is, type of jobs they can get now, training.
Hmm. Well, if they don't want to end up on universal basic income, what can they do? Well, first of all, they have to be motivated. That's
Mhm,
what I'm getting.
mhm,
Um, and they have to have drive and passion.
mhm,
They also have to have a lot of parental support, financial,
mhm.
um, setting them up for the future is what I'm getting. So do they need to invest early? I mean, the earlier you can start investing for your children, the better they're going to be.
Yeah.
Even from the day they're born. Who cares what the government says, right? I'm sorry, but if the government says, well, you're not allowed to really do that. Well, yes, you are, and you must.
Mm,
Um, what else can they do? I mean, the reality is they need to, what I'm getting is they need to sort of pick out their careers early and what would make them employable somewhere else if they wanted to avoid it. Now, don't get me wrong, the Western Europe and the US, Canada, we're all going to follow suit. The US is going to follow suit less quickly than a lot of other places because of the size, which Australia is so large. It puzzles the brain as to how they're able to control the population like this.
mm,
Will we end up with this in the USA? Eventually we will.
mm.
Eventually we will. And will it be illegal to use a VPN? No. It won't be illegal to use a VPN here. What about in the UK? Will it be illegal to? Yes. But people are still going to do it anyway, right? I
Mm.
mean, what should you be doing? You should be creating like a VPN company. Sure. I mean, you're going to make a fortune, aren't you? Especially for the Australians. Create a VPN company that sits offshore and is specifically for that reason.
Right.
Uh, okay, they're cracking a joke now. Spirits being funny. Get educated as possible, and either make a plan to earn a ton of money or to leave.
Right. It's true. Yeah. Okay, so they're also asking a similar question for those of us that are older now, from the 40s and 60s and above, please. What advice would they give themselves in 2025 to offset some of these realities in the future?
Said some of these realities in the future. Honestly, I'm getting hide your money offshore.
Hmm. Okay.
That's the answer I'm getting from Spirit.
Yeah.
I can only tell you what I'm given.
Or Bitcoin.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And but then how do you cash out?
Oh, you can cash out. It's just you may pay a premium to do so, but at least you have control over your money.
Is Australia crypto friendly? Not really. Even though
Not
they have Caleb and Brown out there, but not really.
right. But as long as you own the Bitcoin, it's yours and it's not a government controlled product, right? On the whatever ETF or whatever, then you can do with it whatever you want to do. No one can stop you from doing something with it. At least you be able to, save some of your wealth in it, as the inflation goes up.
Hmm.
It's not going to be under the control of the digital ID, right? Unless you're trying to use it through the system. So,
Well, what I am getting very strongly is that you gotta hide your money.
yeah.
And Australia's it's going cashless like everywhere, right? But it's going cashless. So you guys have got to find a way to hide this stuff.
Yep.
Sorry. I'll probably get taken down now for saying that. But
Yeah,
I
not
mean, I'm
financial
just
advice, but
for
think about it.
entertainment purposes only, people. But that's what I'm getting. Like, unless you want everything to, because look, there's only so much money to go around, okay? Eventually, what I am getting about Australia is you will have more people on universal basic income that are contributing to the tax pot, okay? Now they're going to have to scramble to find the money from somewhere. Where is it going to come from? Well, they're going to start hitting the savings accounts. They're going to start hitting what you guys call the supers, which is for those of us outside of Australia, that's going to be like 401ks, 403bs, pension pots, right? Private pension pots. They're going to start finding a way to squeeze the money out. They're going to make cuts in healthcare. So I don't know how your healthcare system is over there at the moment. I have family in Australia. I should ask them. But I feel that there's going to be significant cuts to the healthcare system to afford going out into the future, all of this universal basic income. So again, what does that tell our Aussie friends out there and our family is that you've got to combat that. If you want to be seen quickly in the UK, you've got to pay private for that in most cases, right? Or you go on a waiting list. It's not unheard of to have to pay cash for health services in the UK, even though you contribute to, your taxes and you're paying money out to support the NHS. But this is going the same in Australia. If they start, and so it's not a matter of if, it's when they start making those cuts to the healthcare system, more people are going to end up being pushed onto a private system. And
Yeah.
citizens will have to pay for that. Residents.
Yep. Okay, then the next question is, all this stuff that we've probed now and the things you can do, how is this going to apply to like the UK and Europe? Is this a similar fate for the UK and Europe?
Is this a similar fate for the UK? Absolutely. And it's closer, what I'm getting from Her Majesty, it's closer than you think.
Yeah. Yep,
Canada.
it sure looks
Canada
that
as well.
way.
Sorry,
Canada as
Canada
well.
as well. Canada is going to follow suit.
Yep. No doubt. I have no doubt that they will follow suit. And we've probed out into the future, like Asia, is going to be more free than the West in a lot of ways, unfortunately, going forward. Even though that seems really weird, with now China having the social credit system and everything like that. But yeah, it's a crazy world that we're moving into. So it's time you can do
Well,
something about it now, hopefully, because you know about the
yeah, well, sorry, let me give this to you before I lose it. Asia will still be using a lot of cash.
yeah.
Not necessarily China, but like the other Asian countries,
Hmm.
they're still using cash. They're still, buying and selling. They don't have the government in their business as much. Although they, eventually every bank account will end up being biometric. That's just inevitable. And we got that, I think, the other day. Every bank account will end up being biometric. But they're still using cash, right? In a lot of those places.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'll be like the good old days in Western society.
Right.
You can't even withdraw in the UK now more than £3,000 per day from your bank account.
I think it's the same in Australia as well. I could be wrong, but or they're about to implement that.
Oh, right. And you're not allowed to buy things that cost more than 1,000, I think £1,000 or €1,000 in a lot of places. Like you're not allowed to do that. So if you have that amount of cash on you in parts of Europe and you're stopped by the police, they want to know why you have that cash. What are you doing? You're not allowed to make purchases, large purchases in cash like that. So why do you have that cash on you? Well, can they confiscate it? Yes, they do. The
Oh
Queen says,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
they do. They confiscate and they will confiscate. They do it now.
yep. And then you have to prove where it came from to get it back, basically. Yeah.
Well, and that is the case with a lot of crypto as well, right? So for people that make significant amounts of money in crypto, say you hit it big with a crypto, you want to cash out. A lot of times in those countries, you have to prove where you got the money from initially to buy the crypto, right? So say you put, I don't know, hypothetically speaking, you put $1,000 into some sort of coin. That coin goes up by God knows how much. You make 100,000 or 200,000 or whatever it is you make. And
Hmm.
now you want to cash out and you want to do something with that cash. Well, they'll put the brakes on and say, well, where did you get the $1,000 to buy it from in the first place? That's why everybody should be documenting every single thing that they buy. Because if you do hit it big in crypto, most banks are not willing to release, and the government orders a freeze. I know, especially in the UK, orders a freeze on the account until you prove where you got that $1,000 or pounds or whatever from. So
Mhm.
every transaction must be noted. It should. Where did you get the money? On this day at this time, I purchased this crypto with this amount of money, and it came from this bank account that I earned money into. Because maybe it happens 5 years from now. You don't know. That they'll still want to know, and then you're not going to be able to respond to that, right? Because that was 5 years ago. Who knows? You need to make notes on that every single time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, everything is.
Unless you find a way to cash out that is is in secret.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Sorry.
there's ways to do it in other like Dubai. I mean, if you go to a lot of UK, wealthy people are moving to Dubai right now because you don't pay the taxes that you do in the UK, and you can literally walk in to, an office and cash your crypto for gold or cash or whatever you want, no questions asked. So
Mm.
definitely ways.
Luckily, but luckily for those countries, they don't have the tax treaty that the US has on all of its citizens, right?
Correct.
So even if you go abroad and you're USA, you're American citizen, you have to declare those taxes abroad, or you are in trouble. You could get in a lot of trouble. You still have to file your taxes if you live abroad.
Yes, in the United States, it follows you everywhere, no matter where you are,
So let's ask this question. Will
unless you
we
renounce your
see,
citizenship.
yeah, let's ask this. Will we see these international tax treaties with Australia in the future? No. What about the UK? Yes.
Yeah.
In the future, going forward, the UK will. How far are we out? I mean, it's still quite a ways out. You're looking at still what, 10 years, maybe even 10 to 15 years. Um, Australia, no.
Mm,
What about Canada? No, Canada's way behind on that. That's going to be like 15 to 20 years, I feel.
right.
These are just estimates.
Mm,
Um, but it looks like that's what they're going to do. Australia won't do it. What about New Zealand? No.
mm. Well, that's good. That's good if you do plan on becoming an expat in Australia, if that's your solution to some of this stuff. But yeah. Yeah, this is crazy, the crazy dystopian nightmare that we're moving into. So the good news is that you're listening to this and you are aware, right? There's a lot of people that are not aware, and that's part of the reason why it's happening. But at least you can do something about it to some degree. There's always choices you can make now. So I think that's all the questions we have from our member. So if you are someone that also wants to request probes or ask questions for these probes, you need to become a member with us on our Patreon. So you go over to Patreon.com/remote viewing and beyond. It's a few dollars a month to join our group. You get access to our forum on the Discord, and you can ask questions to myself and all the other presenters there for probes just like this. Also, remind everyone that I do have a tip jar. Much appreciated to everyone that has chipped in over the years and months. I do appreciate that. If you appreciate what I do here. But do you have any other questions, Liz?
No, no, I don't. And I just want to say thank you so much for you guys putting this probe together. Again, it's good to stay ahead of the game. It's coming whether we like it or not, right? It doesn't matter if Liz Cross is telling you and Mr. Photon, all of us, the Queen, whoever you want to say, Liz, this is terrible. It doesn't matter who's giving you the information. It's happening. It's not going to, closing yourself off from what is going to happen doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. It means it's going to happen and you are choosing to ignore it. And maybe that's how you need to live. And I understand that. However, I think that again, with this information, take it, get prepared, do what you need to do, set your kids up for the future, and just try to stay one step ahead of all these governments. That's what you have to do. So thank you so much for listening. And Mr. Photon, thank you.
Thank you.